Gravity Falls had its final episode last night, and they actually had a marathon going on from like 3 a.m. the day before to 7 p.m. the next day with the final episode. Gravity Falls over its run had some really weird scheduling, but I kinda see why Disney did it because they knew it had a finite ending, so they wanted to stretch it out as much as possible. And they stretched it out almost 4 years, but the series finale was actually split into 3 parts. We saw the first 2 parts last year, and then we saw the final part last night, which was an hour special. And if you haven't seen the show yet, I don't want to spoil it for you, so go watch the show and don't watch this video, because the show itself is really good. It has some excellent writing, some great humor, and great characters. And it's kinda sad to see it go. Though I do like the way they ended it, and they kinda left it a little open-ended, so if it ever does come back in like a special or a new series or something, they can do something with it. But the finale itself was really enjoyable. We got to see all of the characters come together to fight Bill, and we saw this big kaiju type fight between Bill and the Mystery Shack, and while they were fighting, the Gravity Falls theme was playing. And I gotta say, the imagery in these last 3 episodes have been pretty horrifying, especially in part 2 in Mabel's fantasy world where things aren't really what they seem. The only thing I didn't really like about the finale is the fact that Grunkle Stan was still mad at Stanford. Like, come on, it's the end of the world, you gotta work together somehow. I get why they did it, but it felt kind of forced, especially when Grunkle Stan just was not agreeing with everyone. But overall, I did like the ending of Dipper and Mabel going back to California. Somebody on Tumblr pointed out that it's kind of like the ending of Spirited Away, where you just had a lot of this weird stuff happen and then they go home in a vehicle with all this beautiful scenery around. The show itself is going to be something that people are going to remember for years, like the original Avatar: The Last Airbender. Though I never really got into that show, but I got really into this show. They're both similar in that they had stories that were finite and they knew where they were going, which is something that a lot of cartoons don't really do. They either get canceled before their conclusion, or they go on forever. So I'm glad Gravity Falls actually concluded. I was going to do a review or something on the show, but I think I might wait a while, maybe until they release a DVD or Blu-ray or something, because I do want to rewatch it in its entirety. I didn't watch all of the marathon, but I really do hope they put out a DVD or Blu-ray so I can review it then. I know these networks aren't too good about putting out their shows on complete sets. The only network that's been good about it has been Nickelodeon, of all things. Cartoon Network only seems to give Adventure Time the best treatment. Even with regular show, they had a Blu-ray for the first volume, but then in the second volume, they just had a DVD. And as far as Disney goes, I know there was only that one Gravity Falls DVD that just sort of had a bunch of random episodes in it, which Cartoon Network also does. But hopefully, sometime in the future, we'll get a complete series released. So anyway, Gravity Falls has ended. It's a great cartoon. If you haven't seen it, watch it because it is really good. So what did you think of the finale? Tell me down in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Well, by now we're getting a bit used to winter. We're like soldiers in the middle of a campaign, growing hardened to discomfort and better able to take it.